You know that point during a race or a hard workout when everything just stops working? Legs heavy, arms heavy, knees weak? No, it's not because of mom's spaghetti, but it does have something to do with your diet. Sports drink companies love to tell us it's dehydration or low sodium because conveniently, they have a $10 bottle of sugar water that fixes it. But what if that's not really what's happening? I'm Tom Smoot, your favorite biomedical engineer and former special operations soldier. I want to show you what scientists can see happening inside your muscles in real time, because it's not exactly what we're being told. Let's look at some brand new imaging research that shows us what's actually going on when your performance falls apart. Before we dig into performance, I need to explain that this is also a real public health issue that most people never even hear about. Potassium is actually flagged by the FDA as a nutrient of health concern. It was flagged by real doctors, by the way before this admin, so you know it's a real issue. In fact, it's been a growing concern over the last 20 years. Why? Because potassium plays a huge role in heart function, blood pressure regulation, and how your nerves talk to your muscles. Your body uses potassium in a balanced ratio with sodium, which most of us are definitely getting plenty of. For the most of us, when you don't have enough potassium, your cardiovascular system has to work a little bit harder. So if the average person is already running low on potassium just sitting on the couch, what do you think happens when you ask your body to run a half marathon? Well, those are the kind of questions that scientists find interesting. For a long time, studying what happens inside working muscles required invasive procedures. Biopsies that take a chunk of tissue, catheters, all kinds of unpleasant stuff. Fun fact, the first research on carb loading was actually done using muscle punch biopsies back in the 60s. It's good stuff, go read it. But recently, researchers have been using MRI, specifically something called magnetic resonance spectroscopy, and they're using a 7 Tesla MRI. I'm noting the magnet strength because in radiology research, we might consider this high field MRI, because most MRIs in a clinic use a magnet that's not nearly as strong. They're doing this to actually watch what's happening with potassium inside your muscles while you exercise. Non-invasively, no needles, real time. It's a bit like being able to see inside your engine while it's running. What they found was pretty striking. During moderate to heavy exercise, the total potassium inside the working muscle drops by about 5 to 6%. It happens consistently and it happens fast. Then the moment you stop exercise, it starts coming back. It's not a hunch, not theory, not guesswork. It's a direct measurement of what's happening inside your muscle tissue when you're working hard. So why does a 5 or 6% drop matter? At rest, your muscle cells maintain a specific electrical balance. Potassium is kept at high concentrations inside the cell, around 125 millimolar if you're counting, and really low outside the cell, around 3.5 to 5.5. This creates a gradient, kind of like the same gradient that makes electrons flow in a battery. Your muscles need that gradient to contract properly. So when you exercise hard, potassium starts leaking out of your cells. But that's normal. There's a system that's supposed to handle it. It's a protein called the sodium-potassium pump. It works constantly to push sodium out and pull potassium back in. It uses energy to maintain the balance between these ions. During intense exercise, potassium leaks out faster than the pump can bring it back in. It accumulates outside the cell. The electrical gradient drops, and when that happens, your muscle cells literally lose their ability to fire properly. That's fatigue. Not running out of fuel, not dehydration, it's basically an electrical problem. The 5% drop we see in these scans might lead us to describe the pump as being overwhelmed. So what can you actually do about it? Well, here's where we need to talk about money. The sports drink industry is worth about $35 billion globally, and it's growing, 5 or 6% a year. Add the broader supplement industry, which hits over $190 billion in 2024, you're looking at a combined market approaching, like $250 billion. That's $250 billion built on telling you that you're broken and you need to buy something to fix it. That market focuses on what you lose in sweat, sodium and potassium, at about a 4 or 5 to 1 ratio. And yes, you do lose both, but the actual performance problem isn't happening in your sweat, it's happening inside your cells, where this sodium-potassium pump is trying to maintain that electrical balance. So you're being sold a solution to the wrong problem. And it's profitable because it's a recurring fee. You need to keep buying more bottles. Here's what actually makes a difference. The first thing, getting enough potassium in your regular diet. Not supplements, real food. Bananas, Potatoes, leafy greens, avocados, beans, they all contain hundreds of milligrams of potassium per serving, along with all the other nutrients your body actually uses. If your cells don't have enough potassium to work with, day to day the pump system can't function efficiently no matter how much electrolyte drink you have. That's trying to solve the problem with a band-aid. Second issue, your body adapts to training. Studies show that intense interval training actually increases the number of these sodium-potassium pumps in your muscle cells. One study found that athletes who increased their pump density lasted 28% longer before exhaustion. So you're not just training your cardiovascular system, you're helping your cells adapt to the need for more proteins that maintain the electrical balance we've been talking about. But here's the deal. That adaptation happens through training stress and adequate nutrition, not by buying any kind of quick fix. Please don't get me wrong, sports drink companies aren't exactly lying to you. They're just answering a question you didn't ask because it pads their profit margin. Before I get angry about that, let's go back to the research. One more thing the scans picked up that I find fascinating. After subjects exercised to complete exhaustion, their muscle potassium didn't just return to baseline. It briefly spiked about 10% higher before settling back down. The pump was basically running in overdrive, aggressively pulling potassium back in to restore the balance. I'm not quite sure what that means for recovery and whether we can take advantage of this somehow in training, but it just shows how dynamic and responsive muscle activation systems are. One thing I do know is we can go too far and break that system. While most people don't get enough potassium, it's also possible to get too much. That's a condition called hyperkalemia. It can cause muscle weakness, irregular heartbeats, even fainting. It will also cost you a lot for visiting the doctor or hospital, but that's an indictment of our for-profit healthcare system. I'll bash them in another video. I need to tell you right now that if you have any kidney issues, if you're taking certain medications like ACE inhibitors for blood pressure, do not start loading up on potassium supplements without talking to your doctor. Very important. The system I'm describing is very strong, but it's also tightly regulated for a reason. Get potassium from food. Real food is self-limiting in a way that pills aren't. But hey, listen, here's my bottom line. When your performance falls apart during hard exercise, it's not just about sweating out salt. It's about an electrical balance around your cells and in your cells that gets disrupted when you push hard. The real solution isn't buying more expensive drinks. It's understanding how your body actually works and supporting those systems through smart nutrition and training. So if you found this helpful at all, mashing those buttons to like and follow along costs you nothing, and it helps me keep going. I'll be here breaking down the science, the engineering, and some of the health policies that make our lives better. Thanks for watching.